Hello, welcome to another briefing. So in this briefing I'm going to start out per usual with the satellite image. We're taking a look here at this weak weather system, little trough, little cold front pushing into the Pacific Northwest here. And what this is doing essentially, it's already starting to do this, it's tightening the pressure gradient. So it's intensifying the winds along the California coast. I'm focusing in on the Bay Area where I'm based, but it's important to see what's going on the larger scale because it helps you understand um, smaller scale patterns. And see this high pressure here, and there's a low pressure associated with this front here, and what that's doing is it's tightening the gradient. We're getting a lot of northwest wind in between this low and this high over here. And that is what's helping dry out the marine layer. That's why we don't have a lot of low clouds along the coast of the Bay Area today, because of that wind, that northwest wind. And I can just play this back for you here. Let's take a look at this. Is yesterday. North wind started yesterday, really wiped the fog out. Had a little bit try to redevelop this morning. Didn't really hang on. That north wind, it dries out that marine air. It's still an inversion, a slight inversion at the surface, but it's all dried out by that north wind. So we're moving on here. Station plots. You can see it's a pretty warm day away from the water. It's chilly right at the water. You have those winds, of course, blowing. You have mostly upper 50s to 60s in the coast and bayside areas, but you get far down the peninsula here, you see some 70s, you see 80, just about 80 in San Jose. You see some 70s in the East Bay here. Marin, you're looking at 77 Mill Valley. It's currently about 75 at my place, give or take, at my place in northern Sausalito here. We have about 80 in parts of the San Anselmo area. And let's go ahead now and look at the high resolution ensemble forecast for cloud cover in the Bay Area. I'm going to focus in on low level clouds, so I'm going to filter out mid-level and high-level clouds. And so what we're seeing here, this is actually last night and this morning. Let me go through the day-to-day, see how that fog layer stays well offshore. We go in through the morning tomorrow. Maybe some fog for the Monterey area. You can see some fog down here perhaps, depending on how much moisture we get in the boundary layer, that layer near the surface, also known as the skin layer. And if we get those north winds to relax, basically, and we get a little bit of a west wind here, could get some fog in the Monterey, but it looks like we're going to have decent northwest winds along here, which should keep the fog out of most of the Bay Area here. Going ahead, and then you look at the afternoon yesterday, you see that fog being really wiped out there by those north winds. Go ahead and take a look at the big picture pattern at 18,000 feet here on the European model. So here's this morning going into this afternoon here, Thursday the 14th. And you can see here we have these little ripples of energy that are crossing the Pacific Northwest, and then moving into the Great Basin, also up into Idaho and Montana. Moving this back a little bit, you can see this was earlier this morning, and this is the one that pushed through the Pacific Northwest just a couple days ago, and now we're getting some offshore wind on the back of it. Typically you look at the back of these systems, the back side here, where you have surface high pressure generally, because you have the converging air here as it approaches this the axis of the trough. So you get high pressure and then you get offshore winds because you have lower pressure down here. Generally, let me take a look here at the pressure field, and you can see that kind of checks out. The high pressure is roughly more over here, but it's not very strong at all. This is just kind of an extension of this big high over the Pacific. But I mean, you get enough of a high pressure here with a low pressure here that you get some offshore wind. Let me draw this better. The winds are doing something like this, basically, because they move around clockwise and out from the high, and they move counterclockwise and in to the low. So it's kind of doing roughly something like this. It's going to do something like this. These aren't very strong winds because the pressure gradient really isn't super strong at this point, but you get the idea that you have north winds favored here on the east side of the high. Even on the south side, there's a little bit of high pressure down here. And then you put this into motion. This is what happens as we go through into tomorrow here. You're getting the tightening pressure gradient right here along the northern California, central California coast. And the way the high and the low are oriented here, you're in a prime spot for getting north wind. Maybe slightly northwest, but that's what gives you these north winds here, this really strong high out over the Pacific and this low pressure further inland. Further out, some of it, like this one over here, over eastern Idaho, which is quite far north, so it's going to give you more of that north flow. If we didn't have this one, and if it were just this one, maybe we would get more of a northwest flow, but when this low goes pretty far to the north, you can also get some wind, some north flow on that. Here's the sea level pressure anomaly. It's just another way of visualizing this. You can see there's that gradient, and then there is that. See, right in between the high and the low, there's that north, maybe even slightly northeast wind, depending on where you are. This is going into Saturday morning. Expect pretty breezy, gusty north winds, at least for some areas. Let's go ahead and zoom in to California, and we'll do the 100-meter winds, which is roughly 300 meters above the surface. This is diminishing the effects of friction, just to give you a better idea. I mean, look at, here's this afternoon. Still kind of a west-northwest flow. Then you go kind of relaxing, and then you go, this is into tomorrow morning, kind of a north-northwest. Little breezy down the valley, not that much, and then kind of a west-northwest sea breeze in the afternoon. Then here's Saturday morning. That's really ramping up. See, north-northwest wind really starts to get going. If you look further down near the surface, let's do miles per hour. That's pretty significant for a 10-meter surface wind. Jeez, I mean, sustained over 20 miles per hour in some areas. This is going through, this is about 11 a.m. on Saturday. Let's look at the gusts. Gusting maybe in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range in some areas. This is one global model. Take it with a grain of salt. It's just computer model guidance, but it kind of gives us an idea of what could happen. To compare this model to, say, the NAM, which is a little higher resolution. So, numbers are similar. They're a little different. Let me see here. GFS. Yeah, so I don't know. The GFS, for instance, isn't buying that widespread gust scenario. It's a little more scattered, just like the NAM. So we'll have to kind of see how this plays out, but something to watch for sure, that wind potential in the next few days. It'll likely keep low clouds at bay as well, well offshore, if in that kind of like we're seeing today here. See, look at how far offshore these clouds are. And that is because of that north wind, because that north wind wipes out all that marine cloud layer there. Could actually, even though it means a cooler air mass overall, so it's cooler inland, it can be warmer at the coast with this kind of setup than when we're getting that straight west wind bringing in the marine air, like we're getting in parts of Southern California. But even Southern California is kind of drier today. Um, when we have the west wind bringing the marine air, it can be chilly. You can struggle to get out of the low 60s by the water. On a day like today, you can have 70 degrees by the water, which isn't super warm, but it is much warmer than a day you just have fog and you have that cold Pacific air blowing onshore. In this scenario, you have more of parallel to slightly offshore wind in relation to the coast. So that actually wipes out that colder layer of air, allows it to warm up a little bit at the surface, and mainly allows it to stay clear. It can still get chilly in the evening when the sea breeze really kicks up, but northwest sea breeze as opposed to a west sea breeze is going to be a lot drier. So it'll be cold in the evenings. Bring a sweater, of course, if you're at the beach, but good thing is you don't get fog when you have this dry wind setup scenario here. Let's take a quick look at projected high temperatures here for today, Thursday. You're looking at mostly 60s, right around 60, upper 50s into the mid 60s coastline. Bayside for the Bay Area, mostly 70s, and then far inland, the Livermore, Fairfield, you're looking at 80, 82. You go into Sacramento, maybe 88, and then you go tomorrow, pretty similar, maybe a tad bit warmer for some areas. And then you look at Saturday, nice little cool down, upper 50s coast, 60s to 70s Bayside, warmest inland locations mid 70s to right around 80. Sunday's a little bit cooler than that. And then Monday and Tuesday really starts heating up again. By Monday, you're looking at maybe 70 for some coastal areas again, with around 80 for the Bayside, and then into the mid to upper 80s inland. Tuesday, Wednesday, look at that. It could be around 90 inland. It could be widespread 80s by the bay. Around 70 for a lot of coastal areas. I think only the coldest spots like the tip of Point Reyes would be in the 60s. Because I mean, depending on what the wind does, right? If we get enough of that north wind to wipe out the ocean air, it can get pretty hot all the way to the coast. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Something to watch, another potential warm spell as we head into next week. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's pretty much all I have for today. I hope you're able to get something out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.